One of my favorite areas is basically about how important it is to be able to change your mind. A kid might agree to something and then be very uncomfortable with that and decide, no, actually, I don't want that anymore. And understanding that that's your right. Even as adults or, teenagers, well, if you say you'll go on a date with someone, then you're consenting to all these other things. Well, that's not true. Or you consented to have sex with someone and then you changed your mind. You are under no obligation to follow through. This doesn't, obviously, consent for kids does not discuss sexuality, but I think that the ideas sort of are a through line to adulthood where you're saying like, you thought something was a good idea and then you had an experience about it and you did not think it was a good idea anymore. You are allowed to change your mind when it comes to your own body. I do think that's pretty common here too, especially for women. I think it is hard to
in United States.
In the US, it's hard for people to be direct. I still have a problem. It's like I don't want to say no.
Me too.
It's good, except maybe no, but it's okay, So I think here in the US, and maybe this is true in Japan also, sometimes assertive communication is read as being aggressive. I think that's especially true for women who are expected to be kind of like the nurturers and taking care of others and not necessarily haven't learned to stand up for their own needs as well. I personally, I would like to see kids learn to be kind and thoughtful towards others, but also to be able to be assertive about what their own needs are and recognize their own needs as well. And I think it is challenging. It is challenging. And I think we talk about this in the book. Sometimes you can't say no because you're scared, because it socially just feels impossible. And I think that one of the key takeaways is that whoever the initiator is has to make sure that the other person has an enthusiastic yes. So if you're quiet or you're just kind of, awkward or you're cold or you're turning away or you are sort of changing the subject, that's not consent. You have not consented. Part of the book is not just for people to be more clear in their own boundaries, but also to really listen to what the other person is saying. Because I think the reason that you have sexual harassment, sexual assault, and people crossing boundaries, yes, it's helpful to be more assertive, but also the other person has to listen and treat the other person as though they have the right to their own body. And I think at least maybe more than half the problem is even when they're hearing a no or intuiting a no, it's kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter because, I'll do what I want. So like,
whoa.
Yeah, it's a kid of color of some sort of, we kind of tried to make the hair so we don't know if it's a boy or a girl, and maybe, kind of a gender fluid character. Even though it is more prevalent for women, I think that the whole issue of consent is really a human issue, and there are many male survivors and they often get short shrift. So it's really important to show that these things are really for every gender. And in fact, many of the characters are sort of genderless. Like we don't even know what gender they are because it kind of doesn't matter. And I think it's also really important to represent, even though it's obviously very simple, representing different races and ethnicities, because at least here in this country, it is more prevalent in communities of women of color are more likely to be victimized, and that is partially because of racism. And so I think just wanting to make sure that every kind of survivor is seen in the work, and that they all, like, it doesn't feel like apart from what people's experience are. I hope that kids enjoy both books and that they find them empowering. And I think my goal as an author generally is for kids to feel like they have control over themselves and how they are. So whether it's about your body or it's about feeling worried, any of those things, that your relationships, that you know, you kind of are figuring out who you are and you feel empowered to kind of like be yourself, to be your genuine self.
Okay, thank you very much for your precious time.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was great to meet you.
Fun. Thank you.